Welcome back to Painting Lines. The season has officially wrapped up yesterday with the ATP Finals, and I can't say I'm surprised by the result. Sinner defends his title and doesn't drop a set for the second year in a row. Um, Good news for tennis fans, even though we are officially closing up the season. It's only about a month, which is nice because I feel like other sports have such a long off season, but luckily tennis really only a month. Plus, we got the next gen finals coming up in December, which could be a pretty interesting one. It could be, ATP quality with Mensik, Fonseca, and Tien if they decide to play. I'm not sure if they would though. I mean, Aiden, what do you think? I feel like for them, they're what, top 40 in the world now?
Yeah, I mean, I always wonder though, it's like if you have three of the guys being such high quality, it's not sort of the same situation that we saw in the past where like there's one guy that really has not that much to gain and only can lose sort of credibility by playing in it. So it's like if they lose to each other in this tournament, it's not that big of a deal. So I would be surprised if they didn't play in it actually.
Yeah, true, true. And then Basaveretti from last year, he's back in it too. I saw, I think.
Yeah. And Bosov already had his moments this year. He played in a lot of big tournaments.
Yeah, he took a set off Djokovic, right?
Exactly, something like that.
All right, but anyway, back to this week, back to this ATP Finals. We're going to be breaking down the finals and we're going to be giving you our thoughts along with just a general recap. And as always, feel free to like and subscribe as it really helps grow the channel and we just appreciate the support. So, Aiden, I want to kick it off with a trivia question. So, I mentioned earlier in the intro that Sinner did not drop a set during his ATP Finals. Who else didn't drop a set when they won the finals? I'll give you a hint. Two people.
Uh, is Djokovic one?
Djokovic is one.
I guess I would immediately guess Djokovic just because he's won it like what six times, seven times, something
Yeah.
insane. Um, and then maybe Federer.
Yeah, you got it. Two for two.
Yeah, I mean, I during the finals I kept seeing YouTube sort of highlights that were like, oh, this was the day that Federer beat or bageled Nadal or something like that. And so I'm
Oh
like, he
my
must have been
God.
pretty dominant some of those years.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I was a little surprised about the Djokovic one because I feel like he definitely wins a lot, but he also just drops sets. You know how it's kind of almost like you expect him to at least lose a set and then come back from behind.
Yeah, but it's also I think we're thinking about like 2019 to 2025 Djokovic,
Hmm.
whereas maybe like 2015 Djokovic or something like that was just dominating people.
Yeah, no, no, for sure. But I got another question for you on another note. So Sinner and Alcaraz, they split slams this year, two and two. Alcaraz ended the year number one, but Sinner won the year-end finals. So I'm just wondering where you kind of rank the year-end finals as far as tournaments. Like, would you put it as the fifth biggest tournament of the year behind the four slams? Would you put it maybe behind a couple of the Masters 1000 series? Or like, what do you think? Like as far as weighing, I guess, this achievement?
Well, it is very unique because on one hand, you're only beating seven other players. Granted, they are the
Yeah.
seven best other players in the world, but it isn't necessarily as big of an event in terms of like you go to a Indian Wells, for example, or Miami, and they're these massive events with all the players there. And so I feel like in a way those are bigger, but you got to look at the ranking points. I believe Sinner actually got 1,500 for being an undefeated champion. So right in between what you get for a slam and for winning a Masters 1000. And it is kind of presented as being a step below the slams and above the Masters 1000. I think it would go probably a player by player basis in terms of how they value it. Because I think for some players it'd be like, oh, I've always wanted to win Indian Wells, or like, oh, I've always wanted to win in, I don't know, Rome if you're like an Italian or something like that. But winning the year-end finals kind of already means that you're a great player. So it's obviously cool, but it's hard to compare it in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you were to ask Zverev maybe, like, oh, what would you rather have? A slam or your year in finals? Who knows? Or
Well,
the Olympics, like
I
where does this rank?
I think the Olympics is definitely lower, but I
Yeah.
think it's definitely below a slam. Like
Mhm.
there's, I think you ask any player ever, and they would say, "I'd rather have won a slam than win the year-end finals."
Yeah, definitely below slam. And I agree with you where, this they play it up to be as if I think you said this last week. It's like the Super Bowl, right? It's the conclusion of the season. But I don't think this gets enough media coverage or people like fans don't really care as much as say in Indian Wells or a Miami or like a Monte Carlo. I think those Masters 1000 series are more attractive to the fans than this year-end finals.
Well, I think part of it also is like you go to the year-end finals, and it, even though it isn't an exhibition, it almost has that feel because of how it's set up.
Yeah, I know. And it's in the same stadium the whole time too. So it's not like there's grounds to walk around and kind of like spend the day there. Like you're going just for what, 2 matches a day,
Yeah, something like that,
if
and
that.
to doubles maybe.
Yeah, and some doubles. Can't discount the doubles, guys. Do you know who
Yeah.
won?
No, I didn't follow the doubles.
I don't either. Anyway, let's get into the recap portion. Let's start with group play. So the Jimmy Connors group, Alcaraz wins the group, secures the number one ranking by going 3-0. And we talked about this last week, how Alcaraz, like to me, this just felt like such a relatively weak group. And I think that it came out to be that it was because everyone else went 1-2. I mean, Alcaraz obviously made it out, and then the other guy to make it out was Alex De Minaur going 1-2. Like,
Yeah.
what does this say about the group?
I mean, it shows that they're well balanced in terms of quality. No, I mean, honestly, I think De Minaur should have gone 2-1. Like he probably should have beaten Musetti. He had a great opportunity, then he kind of crumbled at the finish line. Uh, but I think it kind of also just shows that Fritz just kind of played poorly.
I was just gonna say, like, what do you think about Fritz? I think he, to me, was the biggest letdown in this group because I thought he was a shoo-in for the semis, like him and Alcaraz. But all he had to do was not lose in straight sets to Deminar. He could have still lost the match, and he still would have advanced because they had both won. I think they were both even on obviously the score. They were even on the sets. It came down to games. Deminar had won like maybe one or
I
two
think
more
one more
games.
game.
One
Yeah.
more game. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. But
So in other words, like if Fritz won like a couple more games, he also could have maybe made it.
yeah, no, he would have. But I want to stick on Deminar here because I know you and I kind of went back and forth on this. Like I truly don't think that he was the second best player in this round robin. And I saw this stat where he is 0-16 in his last 16 matches against top 10 ranked guys. So like what is it about him that I guess he can't beat guys better than him, but he is such a great consistent player, if that makes sense? Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've talked about this in the past, and it's a big thing. Like I've said this many times that like if you can beat guys that are like outside the top 30 almost every single time, you can get like Deminar's an example of like how high you can get if you do that because he really, like you said, 0-16 in his last 16 matches against top 10 opponents. Like that's so bad for being a top 10 player, and yet he was still able to make it to the year-end finals with that dragging him down. So it shows just how much being consistently good against players that you're expected to beat, like how much that can bolster your ranking.
so he didn't win a single game or match last year at the year-end finals. He almost didn't win a single game this year. Do you think he's kind of being exposed as like a fraud top eight?
Well, what do you mean fraud? Like he
Like he
he got
doesn't
achieved the
necessarily, but
ranking
he
points.
achieved the ranking points, but it's kind of like an imposter syndrome. Like, sure, he achieved the ranking points, but take someone like a Fonseca or even like a, I don't know, Casper Ruud, like someone who's kind of on the edge or still a great player, a talented player, could go out and just beat Deminar and
You
be a
think
better player.
Fonseca would consistently beat Deminar?
Not consistently, but I think he's a could be a better player right now.
You think Fonseca is the better player of the two right now?
If they were to play, I think it would be a 50-50 toss up. I don't think Deminar is overwhelmingly better,
I don't
whereas I
think.
feel like all the other players in this are overwhelmingly better than a Fonseca.
Okay. So I think that he may not be as separated as the other top 10 guys. I still think he would be expected to win, though.
Yes, because of I guess how consistent, right? Like Fonseca would probably just make a ton of errors. De Minaur would play defense, get the ball back, but I don't know, maybe I'm just biased. I hate that style of tennis. I think watching him, sure, he can move super well, he slides like crazy, but I just wish he had more of an X factor.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think he wishes he had more of an X factor too, but it's just he doesn't have those super explosive shots. And I think what's really impressive is that he's able to achieve this high of a ranking without those tools.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. But anyway, do you think if Djokovic was in here, do you think he would have moved on or made it out?
Oh, I think he would have easily made it through, to be
Yeah.
honest. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I think that he would have. So he would have been replacing Musetti. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he would have probably clobbered De Minaur, and I think he would have beaten Fritz as well. So I think he would have gone probably 2-1.
I know. I think it worked out well that it just so happened that the year in finals are in turn in Italy and the Italians got Musetti. They got to root for him. There was a lot of energy, but I do think Djokovic just would have been a way better tournament.
It would. I think it would have been maybe a higher level of play overall. But yeah, that Musetti match with De Minaur really crushed me. I was watching it, and De Minaur had this shot at 30-15 in the last set to go up 40-15 and have served two match points. Had a backhand volley at the net. He's moving forward. Could have been a put away. He steps into it, puts it right down the middle of the court. Musetti ends up beating him on that point, and then De Minaur goes on to lose the match. And it's like, dude, you completely that should have been a put away and a couple match points for you.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Each point just really determines or could determine the outcome of the match.
Exactly. Yeah.
Insane. But moving on to the Bjorn Borg group, obviously Sinner wins the group, goes 3-0 as well. FAA makes it out too. He's the second guy. He goes 2-1, and then Zverev goes 1-2, and Shelton goes 0-3. So this was a much stronger group in my opinion, and you see it because Shelton was the weakest. He went 0-3, and I think he could have beaten Musetti and De Minaur, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, one more thing actually about in the last group, I do want to mention
hmm
that Alcaraz going 3-0, actually he collected that year in number one title by doing that. So that kind of put it in interesting position for the rest of the tournament as well, because after that point, really, I mean, yeah, they're playing to win the year end finals, but Alcaraz has collected the biggest prize of being the year end number one already. But then moving on to this group, like you said, I agree. I think Shelton probably would have beaten Musetti and De Minaur because he just has that explosive game. But I think this group overall was just more interesting because you had a more balanced sort of level, but you had FAA and Zverev go into that third day both 1-1. So it was really like whoever wins this match moves on, and that made it a lot more tense.
Yeah. So with Alcaraz securing the number one before the finals, who do you think that took more pressure off of, him or Sinner? You know what I mean? I feel like if Sinner's just kind of playing like, all right, at this point, I'm not going for number one. I'm just playing to win the tournament versus
I think it
Alcaraz.
probably took a level of an element of pressure off both of them, but I would say it probably took more pressure off Alcaraz because I think when you're in the lead, you feel more pressure, right? Like
Mhm.
you feel like, oh, I don't want to lose this lead. Whereas Sinner's going out there like, well, I have to win every match to get it anyway, so I have to go out there and just play every match to win.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it takes a lot of pressure off of Alcaraz because he secures the number one, and at least he knows, all right, well, if I lose the final, I'm still number one. Like at least I gained something this tournament. You know, if anything, he's 50-50. He's number one, but then he also lost the tournament. And then Sinner, on the other hand, too, like once he realizes he can't be number one, he's essentially it's out of his control, right? But what can he control the next match? So he's basically just playing for money and the trophy at that point, which
Yeah.
I think he even kind of offloaded some of that pressure earlier on because there was an interview with Sinner and Alcaraz, and they were just kind of asked about the number one ranking, and Sinner was like, you know what? Like I know I've had a good year. I don't need to be ranked number one. Plus, I went through the adversity in the beginning of the year too, so that also took away. Like it seemed like he was very comfortable with not being the year end number one, which I think for him just made him play a lot looser.
Yeah, I mean, he also kind of has the excuse, right? I mean, he was out for 3 months, so
Yeah.
you could definitely argue that Sinner actually had the stronger year of the two players when he was playing.
That's kind of what I was alluding at earlier too. Like, do you think this was the tiebreaker essentially between the two slams, like splitting the slams and then winning the year in finals?
Well, I don't know because there's other aspects other than just the slams when you're considering the full year, right?
Yeah, yeah. But like, yeah, no, I guess biggest tournaments. That was kind of something that if it was kind of the fifth biggest tournament, then it could have been used as a tiebreaker.
Yeah, but I mean, you could also say like Alcaraz beat Sinner in the Rome final. Where does that balance in there?
Good question. I don't know.
Yeah, I think
Um,
it's hard to get it objective, and that's why the ranking points kind of are usually a tiebreaker.
yeah, yeah. All right, cool. So that about wraps up group stages. Now on to the semis and the really, uneventful semis. We had Sinner taking out De Minaur in straights. That one was completely expected. And then next up, Alcaraz, he beat FAA. This one I thought was maybe going to be a little closer. I was feeling good about FAA, but I actually watched this match through and through, and Alcaraz was just playing lights out. Like there was nothing FAA could have even done.
Yeah, but honestly, still a good showing from FAA. I think. I mean, showed his strength indoors overall, making it through and winning two matches, and he actually ends the year at a career high of number 5. So definitely a good tournament for him to collect those extra 400 points.
Oh, definitely. So what did he peak at before? Like when he
I think
was,
6. So it was
wow.
a peak of one ranking spot, but still a great showing.
Do you think he can break through to be a number three player in the world and maybe challenge Alcaraz and Sinner?
I mean, he really has to improve his play on every surface other than indoor hard.
Yeah, that's true. Good point. No, I mean, I think the indoor hard component definitely helps him, but he's not, is he that bad on clay? I mean,
He's not that bad.
he's not that bad,
It's
right?
like he plays at like a number 5 in the world ranking
Hmm.
level on indoor hard court, and he plays at maybe a 25 in the world level on clay. So it's like he's still a very good player. He's just not as good.
Yeah, yeah,
For
it'll be
example,
interesting.
you look at an FAA Musetti matchup. If they're playing on indoor hard, you feel like it's pretty much a guarantee for FAA. Like if we're going based on their levels right now, if you have Musetti versus FAA on clay, you feel like it's almost a guarantee in the opposite way.
Yeah, I think that's a good comparison. And yeah, both guys squeaked into the finals too, just being
Yeah,
like kind of surface dependent guys.
yeah. But I'll be really interested to see Musetti next year when we get to that clay swing because it's going to be like every week he has to perform again or his ranking is just going to plummet.
Yeah, hopefully he can follow it up. But
Yeah.
going to the finals, we got our dream final, what we all wanted, what we all expected, Alcaraz Sinner. And I just think it's only right that the season ended with this. Like I would feel kind of weird if, FAA had beaten Alcaraz and it was an FAA Sinner final, but we got what we wanted. Sinner gets the dub, straight sets, 7-6, 7-5. And while it was only two sets, it was still a very tight match. And something that I did want to bring up here was there was an overwhelming home court advantage for Sinner. So I think this might be the first time that Alcaraz has faced such a, I guess, you know, divisive crowd against
Anti
him,
Alcaraz.
anti-Alcaraz, because every time I feel like he's the crowd favorite and he plays into it, right? He has a great time out there. He hypes up the crowd. This was just all Sinner. So, like, I want to ask you, do you think that that had any impact on the outcome of the match?
I mean, maybe marginally. I think because Alcaraz does, like you said, feed off the crowd some of the time. But I still feel like to an extent he is able to do that just because even an anti Alcaraz crowd is going to be impressed by some of his shots, right?
Oh yeah.
So it's like he
Yeah.
can still get a little bit of energy from them.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. But like just hearing the sinner, sinner, you know how they do like
Yeah.
ole? It's like just so into it. But crucial point in the match actually came when Sinner saved the set point in the first set. And then I think that just kind of flipped the tide of the match. And then Sinner went on, won the first set in a breaker, very tight breaker too. I think they exchanged many breaks and then Sinner ended up breaking ahead. But second set was also very interesting. Alcaraz broke early and then Sinner eventually broke back. And then it was just kind of downhill from there. Sinner got another break, and I just didn't see Alcaraz coming back after that. He had that hamstring injury too, which may have inhibited him. I'm not really sure, but I think he was playing a lot more aggressive after that, and I don't think it worked to his advantage.
Yeah. I think Alcaraz usually plays better when he does sort of like the Djokovic style where yes, he can produce those winners and stuff, but when he plays kind of like that Djokovic, I'm going to play on the baseline. And then when you try to move up, that's when I'm going to counterpunch and beat you. And if your movement is inhibited, that really takes away from that style.
Yeah, I know. And he even on one of the last changeovers, he was sitting there and he kind of made that like cutthroat signal, hand signal to his coaching staff, and you just kind of knew, all right, like he's done. He's mouthing the words, I'm done. I mean, not really much of a match after this. Either way, just great class from both players. You know, they were both um, very kind to each other in the speech. Alcaraz kind of alluded to, you know, there's going to be many more finals between us. Sinner congratulated Alcaraz on his year at number one and his successful season. So, all in all, just pretty good final, honestly. I've really no complaints about it.
Yeah. A little bit better
Uh,
than the Cincinnati final where Sinner came out
yeah.
and played one game or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Like, you know, I would say though, I was hoping for a third set, as I'm sure most people were. And I think if it went to the third set, I feel like Alcaraz gains the advantage the longer the match goes on. Like, I feel like he's a little better at handling nerves than Sinner is.
Well, isn't there's that statistic like Sinner's never won a match that's gone over like a certain amount of time?
Whoa. Yeah, I think I remember that, but
Yeah, but it's
I don't
pretty
recall the
long. I think it's
exact
like
stat.
3 hours and like 40 minutes or
Yeah,
something.
it's like
So
how many like
not that many matches go that long.
yeah, what's the sample size on that?
Yeah, it's like 4 matches.
Right. But fun fact here. So Sinner only lost one service game the whole week, and he saved 13 out of 14 break points that he faced. I know seven of those came from Zverev too, because he went 0 for 7 with break points. But just phenomenal, I guess, yeah, being clutch, just kind of being able to serve your way out of it. Because I know that break point that he faced, the set point that he faced against Alcaraz, he he clutched up on a second serve. He hit like 117-mile-an-hour second serve. So it's always nice when you can serve your way out of problems, out of break points.
Yeah, and I feel like that's. I mean, we've talked about it the last couple of years when he made those changes to his serve and elevated his service level. That's when he took that step up to become sort of an unbeatable player. And so now it's even a tool that he can sort of use in these big situations to help him out and save him.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know if you saw the scenes of the party that went on after he won, but him and his team were just spraying champagne everywhere. It looked like they were having a great time. Fabio Fognini actually was in there too. He was getting in on the action. But, you know, I've heard rumors that like people are saying that Sinner's team kind of walks on eggshells around him and all this stuff. So I don't know if it's true or not, but people are kind of saying Sinner has that like Djokovic-esque to him, like where he's just a dick to his team. And it kind of made me think, I feel like you kind of have to be a dick to people around you, like to be that good, to have that much success.
I mean, look at Alcaraz. I feel like that's opposite end of the spectrum. It looks like Alcaraz is always having such a great time out there, and I feel like his
Yeah.
team is like, I don't know. I feel like they have a great relationship.
Yeah. All right. Let me rephrase. I think because Alcaraz has a lot more natural ability, like natural talent, he kind of strikes me as more of like a Fed or a Nadal, whereas Djokovic, I feel like just has that chip on his shoulder where he is just grinding his way up there and like I don't know. I feel like there's something about Sinner that he just is not a very pleasant guy to be around.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I haven't interacted with him, so I can't speak that way from personal experience. And I don't know about the rumors trusting all those all the time.
Yeah, maybe we won't know until we get him on the pod.
Yeah, exactly. Then we'll know.
Yeah. Yeah, and he wins 5 million for that, which I'm pretty sure is either on par or maybe a little more than a Grand Slam win.
Yeah, but it's nothing because he already won that six Kings Slam earlier in the year. So
Jeez.
yeah, I just wonder like at this point when if as a professional player at the top of the game, if you're even thinking about the money, right? You're probably just like it's flowing in. You're not really thinking about it, and then like maybe a few weeks later, you're like, oh, look at my bank account. It's $5
Yeah.
million higher.
Yeah, it's always funny on Nothing Major. They like Sam is always so fascinated with the players. He's like, you think they're checking their like bank account right after they win? Like, when's the 5 mil gonna hit? When's the 5 mil gonna hit? And he asked Mickelson that, like when he would like go deep in a tournament and stuff, and Mickelson's like, yeah, I definitely check like pretty often, but like Sinner, yeah, I doubt he's pulling up his
Yeah,
Bank of America app. Like, when's the
exactly.
money gonna hit?
Well, I really doubt he's pulling up his Bank of America app.
His Deutsche Bank.
Yeah, yeah. So whatever it is, Bank Suisse or something.
Yeah, Geneva.
I'm sure he's got. I'm sure he's banking and all of his stuff hidden somewhere in Switzerland.
Yeah, maybe he'll move out to Monaco here soon and evade
Exactly.
those taxes.
Exactly. Meet up with Djokovic out there.
Yeah, there we go.
But yeah, so that about wraps up really the season overall. I mean, we have the off season coming up, like you mentioned, but we still have some interesting episodes we'll be bringing to you each week. So we got the next gen finals we'll definitely be talking about. We'll be doing our 2025 award show, third annual award show, where we're talking about player of the year, newcomer of the year, stuff like that. We'll preview 2026 when we start getting closer to the start of next season, and we'll probably sprinkle in maybe some other topics, maybe a spotlight on a player or two, just fill in with some interesting episodes as well. So definitely stay tuned through the off season. But anyway, you ready to hop into segments here, Eric?
Yeah, let's do it. Hey guys, before we jump in, we have some exciting news. We recently partnered with TruePro. They're a great place to buy strings, grips, and tennis apparel. Use discount code Painting Lines, that's one word, for 20% off store wide. You can find the link in our bio.
Alrighty, what's new in tennis? What'd you see this week?
I saw a pretty crazy stat. So Zverev now holds the record for most weeks in the top 10 without winning a Grand Slam, and that is 370 weeks. So do you know who previously held this record, Aidan?
Most weeks in the top 10 without winning a Grand Slam.
Yes.
Is it David Ferrer?
Close. It's
Uh,
not.
is it?
So the reason I said close was because Ferrer is third and he had it before someone else
Oh, he had it
overtook.
before someone else. So is it Burdich?
Yes, it is Berdych.
Okay.
Berdych was 369.
Okay. Wow. Yeah.
So obviously, this poses the question, is Zverev the best player to never win a slam?
I feel like it's definitely getting up there, right? Like he has so many accomplishments. He's won a few Masters 1000s. He's made the finals of a few slams. It's hard to argue that he isn't at this point, right? I feel like he has a lot of statistical things that would say he is.
I think he'll get one eventually. I do. And I feel like he won't retire until he gets that closure. Like knowing him as a competitor, I feel like he can't retire without winning a slam. It just wouldn't feel right.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's just not how it works though in sports, right? You don't always get that. That's why we like watching sports because you don't always get the happy ending. You get the sort of subversion of expectations sometimes. And I feel like Zverev, realistically, how is he going to get one? Is
I
he
think
going to get really lucky and have Alcaraz and Sinner both lose?
Yeah, hopefully. Like I don't know what it'll take, but yes, I know it'll take luck. I'm just hoping for one of those like fluke slams. But I do want to know how many more weeks do you think he'll get? Like I feel like he's still at the top 10 level, at least for a couple more years.
Well, like you said, I mean, remember when we talked about his press conference last week, and he said, "Oh, yes, I'm number three, and I'm not super close at one or two, but I still had a good year. I'm number three in the world." Uh, that's kind of, I think, what we have to look at and be like, yeah, he is still the best of the rest at this point. So, how many more weeks will he spend in the top 10? I don't know. Yeah, it could be another 50 or 60 weeks.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. But what about you? What did you see this week?
I saw that the American Chris Eubanks announced his retirement. I mean, played in some high level tournaments and played high level tennis on his day. Peaked back in 2023 when he won Mallorca and made that Wimbledon quarterfinal. But to be honest, been kind of straight back downhill since then. I mean, he recently dropped out of the top 250 players in the world. So it's kind of understandable he doesn't want to continue to grind at that lower level after having experienced such high level success. But it is kind of a bummer to see a guy that only a couple years ago was having the peak level of his career is already going into retirement now.
Wow, yeah. I mean, I can't really say I'm surprised that Eubanks is retiring, but I do think he has a pretty good career ahead of him in broadcasting and just being around the game in general. Because I know he was even broadcasting while he was playing in these tournaments. Remember, he would play the US Open, lose first, second round, and then broadcast the second week, which was pretty neat.
Yeah, definitely gonna land on his feet, like you were saying.
Yeah, yeah. Just what do you think about his career? I mean, let's reflect on it. I think, successful pro tennis career. You got to do something that a lot of people just don't get to do.
Yeah, I mean, he reached a level that like most players never will, making a quarterfinal like that in a slam, won an ATP title. It's like that is a successful tennis career 100%. It's just that you compare it to someone like the top guys we're always talking about, and you're like, okay, he was to them a guy that was like a one-time run in a big tournament.
Yeah. Hopefully, hopefully Vachereau kind of stays there too. He's just someone who comes to mind about like potentially being a one-hit wonder.
Yeah, but I mean that quarterfinal at
Yeah.
Paris is gonna probably bolster him a little bit.
2 wins over Rinderknech, his cousin too.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he does
I know,
in
me
the coming
too.
year.
He's got a big game.
Yeah, he's got to be grinding over the off season though.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, bet of the week and upset alert isn't really anything to talk about here because, like we said, the season's wrapping up, right?
Yeah, I mean, we could probably do some futures bet, but I think right now we'll take a little break. I did not have a good betting week, let's just say that
Yeah,
with the ATP finals.
yeah. And then match of the week is obviously the final, right? I mean, we got the final matchup of the big two coming together in the end of the season. It was the one we all wanted, like you said, and it delivered. It didn't go to three sets, but I think it was still a very quality match.
Definitely. I could not agree more. And yeah, like I said, there was some high pressure moments in the match and it made for great entertainment just overall.
100%.
All right, and that's the show. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at Painting Lines Podcast. Feel free to shoot us a DM or email us any questions or thoughts at paintinglinespodcast@gmail.com.